Okay, hello everybody. This is Victoria James, and as I always say, bad light, complete lack of YouTuber skills, and my bad English, and also my Russian is getting worse and worse. Just if you are watching my video for the first time, my YouTube channel is called Russian American Renaissance. I talk a lot about Russia, where I was born and lived for 20 years. I talk a lot about America, where I lived for 10 years. And today's video might be a little bit difficult. I guess most of my videos are kind of emotional because I am emotional and involved in things that I talk about. I kind of really pull it through my soul and my heart. I feel what those people feel, a little bit at least. And also, I don't think that a lot of people subscribe to my channel. I only started. It's for my friends from Russia, maybe some of my friends from America. And it's also kind of difficult because some of my videos are in English, some are in Russian, and my friends like all different. It's hard to meet everybody's expectations in terms of language, in terms of the subject of conversation, but I just do what I do and I enjoy it. I'm glad I opened this channel. It's all very simple. It's just me and my thoughts about what's going on in the world. But the world for me is mostly Russia and America. Those two places are where I live emotionally and mentally most of the time. Just in case, I live in Seattle, Washington, and I work as social worker. And I think it kind of made me a much deeper, serious person, and I started thinking about responsibility that each one of us has in the society. Mostly responsibility for things we say, things we do, and how it's going to affect our life of other people, life of our kids. And also, when I make my videos, for some reason I always think that one day my children gonna watch my videos, and it will help them. It will help them to understand who I am. I don't have children yet, but I'm sure I will have them one day. Sometimes I even imagine that I have two kids. One of them is Ivan, because I really like Russian name Ivan, which is in America usually pronounced as Ivan. And another son that I want to have, his name is going to be Robin. I guess I always like the idea of being a Robin Hood and doing something good for people. So I guess I'm a very romantic person. So it's one of the reasons maybe why I started this channel, and I'm trying to talk about things that are not very easy to talk about. I'm not doing anything provocative or anything bad, but things I'm talking about are deep, important. It's about society. It's about how I used to live and how we all probably gonna live in the future. At least I'm trying to analyze where it's all going. Our life in Russia and America. For immigrants, for people who are born here, for all of us, what's going on in America is important, and what's going on in Russia is also important. It's a big country, and you know. So today's topic, and just in case, just for fun, kids, if you will be watching my video, you know, this day was difficult for your mom, because I have to talk about a very emotional question. It's a question of, it's about children, it's about women, it's about a father who can be very abusive and difficult to deal with. It's about the system that doesn't always listen to your complaints. It's about the system where you don't always know how to protect yourself, because I really love Russia, but I want to be honest. When I was growing up, and maybe still now, we have a lot of situations when growing up in a family with, let's say, imperfect parents, you don't always know how to come out and how to talk about it. Because in US, more or less, it's difficult to admit that you have parents who are not nice to you. It is hard, but I feel that in US it's much easier to find people who will protect you. Despite all the emotional difficulties, in terms of the law and legislation, you know you will have people on your side. You know that for sure. In Russia right now, I feel like people start understanding more and more that kids are individuals. They might be different from parents. They can have different opinion. And we have a lot of families that are very liberal and understanding, and I'm from that kind of family where I can just say what I want to say, and even if my parents are not agree, they're not gonna be mad at me, or if they get mad, it doesn't get really bad. It's not like we're gonna start fighting physically. Not really. But there are some kids who have families, and in Russia and in America, everywhere you just know there are some families that don't treat children respectfully, that don't know how to raise kids, who just want kids to be instruments of satisfaction or some sort of psychological compensation, like somebody who's gonna always listen to you, do what you tell them. And one of those situations was the story of the murder in Russia. It happened in Moscow, and I'll give you some background on the families involved. Because Russia is a very multicultural country. We have a lot of nationalities, and obviously not everybody who lives in Russia is necessarily Russian. We have Armenians who come from mountains of Georgia, Armenia, and etc. I don't want to use stereotypes, but I would say that a lot of people say that Armenians are a little bit more emotional than a typical Russian person, and they have different traditions. The culture is a little bit more conservative, very patriarchal, and I'm not saying that Russian culture is not patriarchal. It also has its own skewed vision of gender roles. We have some situations when men can make jokes, or I'm a man, you're a woman. But in US, in some groups of population, it's also kind of common. But I would say that Russia is more similar to America in terms of gender roles than, for example, Armenia, where the family involved in this story comes from, or Moldova, where mother of the kids involved in the crime came from. So here is the situation. Khachaturyan family. Let's just outline main characters of this play. Okay, I'm not gonna say play. I'm not making fun of anybody, but imagine it's a play, and I'm just listing the characters involved. Father is from Armenia. In public, looks like a very religious Orthodox Christian. Often goes to Jerusalem. Has a lot of money. Not a lot of people know where money comes from, but a lot of people suspect that there is something about drugs and criminal activities. At this point, I don't know if any of that was proved in the court, but I'm just saying situation and what we know. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything was proved. Okay, just make sure you understand. Father who was allegedly involved in criminal activities. Most of the time he was at home or driving his car around Moscow. He had a good amount of money. They were not millionaires or anything, but they lived okay. better than an average Russian family, I would say. Daughters, three daughters. They were born from a mother from Moldova. It's one of the republics close to Russia. Both Armenia and Moldova seem to be perceived as republics living a little bit worse than Russia economically. And a lot of people come from Armenia and Moldova to work in Russia. Both republics have large populations speaking Russian, often as a first language, sometimes as a second language. So basically, that's a place where, which allows you to easily move to Russia, work there, and feel more or less socially accepted. And you also know the culture because we're so close geographically. So being an Armenian or Moldovan person, that's very easy for you to immigrate to Russia and work there. Doesn't mean your life will be easy. You might have a job like most of immigrants, and you know most of immigrants start very often, not always, but very often with a job which is not necessarily very well paid, maybe a cashier, maybe doing something in construction, maybe some job in airport, a lot of things. I don't want to stereotype, I don't want to generalize, but the truth remains the truth. When you are an immigrant, not necessarily from a very rich background economically and financially, you just get what you get and you start working because you need to survive. And the mother of three girls, Aurelia, if I'm not wrong, I think her name was Aurelia, according to the story, moved from Moldova with her mom. Mother is also from Moldova, obviously. So, Aurelia, there is not much known about where she worked, but maybe she had a job, maybe she didn't. Her mom seemed to be involved in either being a property, real estate, or looking for people who would like to rent an apartment. I'm not sure. There is no much yet that I know about it, but okay, her mom had a job. Daughter was 17. She has met this Armenian guy. Obviously, at least how she was describing, she was thinking he was involved in some criminal activities. He had money and he used to abuse her. According to what she said, she was raped, and this is how she became pregnant. And her mom told her, if he's courting you and he's nice to you, you guys get married. It's not very clear if mom knew that Aurelia was raped by this man. Who knows? Maybe she knew, maybe she didn't know. But honestly, guys, remembering Russia of these days, if you have met a man who has money and he can take care of you and you're an immigrant woman, you need to take care of yourself. You just don't really behave as a very picky woman. Let's be honest, that's how it was back then. For an average, typical immigrant woman from Armenia or Moldova, it might be that you just get what you get. Once again, guys, I'm very careful with my words, and I don't want to hurt you. And if you have to make bad choices in life, sometimes it doesn't mean you are a bad person. It just sometimes life forces you. That's the truth about immigration, and we have to. I really try to be honest yet respectful. I hope you appreciate that and you understand how hard it is for me to avoid saying something bad, and I don't want to. So they had kids, Aurelia and Mikhail. Mikhail was this guy who allegedly was a criminal, not necessarily a very big criminal with a lot of money, but he was who, I don't know, he seemed to have been involved in transporting money and giving money to people who were in jail, or people who, I don't know, I don't know much about it, I don't want to talk about things I'm not sure about. Mostly just it seemed like he didn't have a job like any regular person in Russia. His job seemed to have been very different. So they got married, they had a son and three daughters, and there was a lot of abuse going on. And Mother Aurelia left because she was scared that she will be killed. And he was, Mikhail, a father of the family, he was manipulating constantly. He was saying, I'm gonna kill you, or I'm gonna kill our older son, or I'm gonna kill daughters. All the time his manipulation was about killing somebody in the family, either daughters if she doesn't leave, or if she stays he was going to kill, he was saying he's gonna kill a mother and daughters, or a son. Like it's the whole circle of repeating the same things. Just, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill her, I'm gonna kill him, blah, 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 blah. Constantly creating fear and sense that he can do anything. And of course, Mother was standing a lot, and she had to bear a lot of physical abuse, sexual, I don't know. But okay, she left, and the older son left as well because he was the one experiencing a lot of emotional abuse. Seemed like daughters were getting along with father really well. They had good communication and everything, and this is according to what Mother said. This is why she left and felt safe. More or less, she felt like daughters will be safe if she leaves. She seemed to have been feeling to be a reason for his resentment, anger, and everything. She felt like if she's gone, everything will be good. And she left. So this year, we get the news on the TV, and the whole Russia is shocked. I'm not sure about America, if people know more, like anything about the story, or they know more now. Basically, three daughters killed the father. He was stabbed by them 30 something times, and they were arrested. And in the end of the story, they were released because there were a lot of facts that pretty much were discovered in the process of investigation. According to what they said, there was there was emotional abuse going on, there was sexual abuse going on, there was physical abuse going on, everything that you can possibly imagine. At least some of the daughters seem to have been raped or somehow had sexual abuse experienced by them at some point. And they were released. They, as far as I know, they are staying at home most of the time. I don't know if it's more like they were recommended to be home or being seen by therapists, psychotherapists, and etc. I don't follow the story that much anymore. But bottom line of the story, I just really hope that this is something that will create a precedent for rethinking law and legislation related to relationships between school authorities, teachers, kids, parents. It's like this whole system needs to be rebuilt, because in the process of investigation, it was known that girls used to complain to friends, to teachers, to police department, and there was just no reaction pretty much. And neighbors used to complain too, and they tried and tried and tried, but when there is nothing going on the other end, what can you do? Imagine you live in the apartment building, there is a huge guy who used to abuse kids, and what can you do? You're gonna fight with a huge man? Like, you can try, but how it's gonna solve the problem? You're gonna go there today, tomorrow, but you can't constantly risk your life. It's hard. And when legislation is not designed in the way that uproots the any attempts of physical abuse. You know, if you get spanked by your parents like this, I get it, it happens. It's not the best thing to do, but that's still not like big physical abuse. I understand parents have hard time with kids, with each one of us. But when there is a serious, grave sexual and physical abuse, that's a different story. That's pretty much like you risk your life being with that person. You have no place to go. And girls were scared to complain to mom. They were scared that mom is going to kill him. So they pretty much did the job that police, school counselors, parents, and everybody was supposed to do, because now the whole family is fighting. And of course, this Moldovan family protects and tries to defend girls and mother. The other side, Armenian family, is trying to defend Mikhail, saying that he was a great person, he was a nice person, he used to donate money to church. He can donate anything to church, you still can't do what he has done to his daughters. Regardless, that's just not okay. And at this point, my thought number one here, I really hope that this situation will create a series of reforms and more supervision and more strict legislation in educational system and school system, stronger involvement of school counselors, teachers, parents, more communication between those communities. And I just really want this kind of things not to ever happen again. And I really hope the girls will be fine. I hope they will recover from this psychological stress. I don't know what to advise them. Maybe to leave to a different country, to a different culture, and try different life, because I experienced a lot myself, because my life is great now and everything is good. But when I was 12, my older brother died, and that was a huge trauma for me, and I was doing a lot of bad things just to fight with my depression, because I didn't know I had a depression, a real clinical depression back then. I was a teenager and I was in pain, and I was just thinking, I'm ready to run, jump, say bad words, do whatever just to feel better. And I'm glad I recovered. I'm not a psychotherapist, but I learn a lot about it, and I help a lot of people at my workplace, because I know what it's like when it really hurts. I know what it means when it really hurts, when you lost a loved one. But for the girls, when it comes to their lives, girls, I don't know if you're gonna watch this video ever, but I support you. I'm with you. We're adult women, and we will go through this. I'm sure you will go through this, and your mom will support you, and your grandma will support you. And I hope one day you will have families and kids, and you will just forget all of that like a nightmare, because it was a nightmare. At least my feeling that they were released, and this is how it has to be, because they just became victims of the system. And guys, please, if you see there is something not okay with the system that you live in, change it, talk about it, support people who became victims of the system, women, children, seniors, whoever those people are. We all want to be successful, we all want to be strong, but sometimes it's just about reaching your hand to somebody else. And when I heard that girls were released, I'm like, yes, God, you exist, you really do exist. So guys, if you want, subscribe to my channel. If I'm too much for you, don't subscribe to my channel, it's up to you. But I see that people watch my videos a lot, much more than what I expected, you know. So thank you for watching, and next video will be about my education at the University of Washington and differences between Russian and American educational systems, what I liked, what I didn't like. It's mostly about higher education, bachelor's degree, and how it's different from our 5 years degree in Russia. So but it will be cool if you subscribe to my channel, but it's fine if you don't. So thank you for watching. That was Victoria James, Russian American Renaissance, and Khachaturyan sisters. I'm with you.